Few days after seeing Dave with another woman in the market, Amora's mind had been trapped in an endless cycle of questions. Why did this happen? Why wasn't I enough? Why did Dave choose someone else? The word why echoed relentlessly in her thoughts, refusing to fade. Each attempt to silence it only seemed to make it louder. It followed her through the day and lingered with her through the night, binding her to a pain she could not fully understand. Nights were the most difficult. She would lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation she had ever shared with Dave. Every glance, every smile, every word became evidence she examined repeatedly, searching for signs she might have overlooked. Her mind turned into an unforgiving investigator, desperate to uncover the moment when everything had truly gone wrong. Yet the deeper she searched, the less she found. The answers never came. Gradually, the exhaustion began to settle into her bones. Living inside those questions was draining her spirit. Slowly, she realized something unsettling. The why she was chasing was not helping her heal. It was holding her captive. One morning, Amora stood before the mirror, studying the reflection staring back at her. Her eyes were swollen, her face weary from too many sleepless nights. The woman in the mirror looked unfamiliar, like a faded version of the hopeful person she once was. Slowly, she touched her cheek. She studied herself quietly. "This cannot be who I become," she murmured. "I cannot keep destroying myself for someone who is living freely." In that quiet moment, something shifted inside her heart. It was not dramatic. No sudden revelation, no burst of emotion, just acceptance. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider a difficult truth. She might never know why Dave had left. He might never explain. The answers she had been chasing might never exist. And somehow, that realization brought peace. Amora returned to her desk and opened her journal. This time, she did not fill the pages with questions. Instead, she wrote simple declarations. "I do not need to know why. I do not need closure from him. I will create my own closure. I will heal even without answers." Each sentence felt like a quiet act of freedom, as though she were breaking invisible chains that had tied her to the past. When she finished writing, she exhaled slowly. The pain had not disappeared, but something about it had changed. Without the constant search for explanations, the weight on her heart felt lighter. She finally understood that holding on to why meant holding on to him. And if she truly wanted to move forward, she had to release both. Closing the journal, she wiped the last trace of tears from her eyes and whispered softly, "It's over." And that is enough. Healing would not happen in a single day. But from that moment forward, Amora no longer felt compelled to solve the mystery of Dave's choices. Her heart was finally learning how to live without the burden of why. Amora sat quietly on her bed one morning, sunlight filtering gently through the curtain. Golden rays stretched across the room, soft and warm. For the first time in a long while, she noticed the beauty in it. There was no heaviness in her chest, no tears waiting to fall, only stillness. She leaned back against her pillow, placing a hand over her heart. It beat calmly, steadily. Once, it had raced at the thought of Dave, his voice, his presence, the illusion of love. Now, it no longer trembled for him. It was learning peace. At first, the silence of her new reality had been unsettling. The absence of late-night conversations, the lack of comforting words, the emptiness beside her, it had all weighed on her. But gradually, that silence began to change. It no longer felt empty. It felt like space. Space to rediscover herself. She began taking evening walks through her neighborhood, observing life as it unfolded around her. Children laughing, the wind brushing against her skin, the quiet rhythm of everyday moments. This time, she did not compare them to memories. She did not wish for anyone beside her. She was simply present. At home, she returned to her journal, but her writing had changed. No longer filled with sorrow, the pages now carried her thoughts, her dreams, her quiet reflections. Each word felt like a release, an exhale of what remained of the pain, an inhale of something new. Strength. Music, once a painful reminder, found its way back into her life. She created new melodies for herself, songs that lifted her spirit. Sometimes, she danced alone in her room, small, unguarded movements that spoke of healing. With each step, she reclaimed something she had lost, herself. She noticed, slowly, that she had stopped waiting. The constant what-ifs had faded. The silent hope that he might return no longer lingered. She was no longer holding her breath for someone who had already let go. She was breathing on her own. One evening, seated on her balcony with a cup of tea, her thoughts drifted to Dave. The memory came quietly, and passed just as gently. There was no pain, only a soft acknowledgement of what had been. She did not smile because she missed him. She smiled because she had endured it all, the love, the betrayal, the nights of sorrow, and she was still standing, still whole. Closing her eyes, Amora inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with calm. As she exhaled, her voice came out in a soft whisper. "I am enough. I can breathe without him." It was not a dramatic moment, no grand transformation, just a quiet, powerful freedom.